Okay, so as we go through our development of walls and floors and roofs, we're going to next look at some junctions here with the roof. The cool thing about working in 3D is it kind of forces you to actually work out some of the details a bit earlier, as opposed to trying to work them out on site or discovering on site that you've missed a detail, which is kind of a horrible feeling. So it can be incredibly handy just to either communicate some of the design ideas to other team members and also clean up as you're going. So I've covered how you attach items. So if I want to attach that wall to the roof, we can attach and clean that up. This one could be pretty simple. Maybe the actual size of that roof will probably need to be a bit bigger. It's a basic corrugated iron roof. Maybe we want to do something a bit deeper. So if we go to develop this one, I'll go and edit it. The way it's made up is it's got some very thin joists, maybe a little bit too thin. I would probably say that for something like this span, you could get away with 150, hopefully, and depending on how you want to insulate it, because if it's a corrugated iron roof, it's going to be pretty noisy. You'd want to have a fair bit of insulation and plasterboard in it. So I'm just going to add a couple of these into it. So, and again, this might not be the perfect makeup of that wall, but I'm just going to do it very basically. So you can go into insulation, rigid insulation, and we'll just go OK, and hopefully we can get away with 40. Might need to be thicker, and then finally here we'll do this one as plasterboard. It's going to say gypsum wallboard. Okay, and this one we'll make it 15. So now we've got something a bit more solid. It's got an R value here, and we can go OK. And now that wall's looking a bit more, sorry, the ceiling, the roof, and its ceiling is looking a little bit more respectable. Also, you'll notice how this is cleaned up as well because of the way that everything is set in terms of whether it's a finish or a structure. It will clean up in accordance with those settings. So we can sort of see here this bit of the structure. This is the metal steel stud. This will be supporting that roof, and that is going up to the actual structural component of the joist, which is the 150 mil. Now there are some things here with the insulation going past it. Probably wouldn't do that. We probably need to maybe change that either in the detail, or we could start to again use the parts, and we could grab those individual grab those individual parts, show the shape handles, and potentially bring that back. Oh, it'll work this time. So yeah, sometimes these things don't necessarily always work. In a previous tutorial, it wasn't working quite right, but here it's working quite well. So that's maybe how you might do it, depending on insulation and everything. And then you probably need to do the same here. So that's kind of a nice way to tweak everything and get it all looking correct. And again, you might not do this straight away. You might end up doing this once you get into the detailing. But yeah, at the moment, what's cool about this is in 3D, you can start to reveal things that could be an issue or things you may have forgotten about. So here's the ceiling plan, because I changed that room from a corridor. The ceiling plan has changed, so we can quickly go into that ceiling plan.
Okay, so sometimes ceiling plans can get very fiddly, especially when you look at the base level, the top level, and also how it works with the view range. This is just one of those ones which requires further investigation on how you set up your project. It is one of those fiddly things. I may come back to this one, but at the moment I've got the ceilings displaying in the way I want them to. There are some holes here. So what I want to be doing with the way all this is being cut, we go back to our section here. There is no wall here anymore, and then I think all the internal walls. This is another one that I was going back and referring to for my section plans, for my ceiling plans. One that works, and for some reason, when I try and do a new project, this is always a fiddly thing. So I keep it simple, level above, offset at 2-300, and it's just not working for me in my new project. It just requires some reverse engineering. So I always try and refer to other projects just to see where I might have gone wrong. This one in particular, I want to go to my ceiling plan and correct some of this. It is picking up some stuff from below. Sometimes you may need a bit more detail so to understand what's going on. It looks like it's not picking up all of the walls for some reason. If you do get completely lost, you can always just go to wireframes to see bits and pieces. Another thing you can do here is in your 3D view, you could orientate to that ceiling view plan. So here's our ceiling view plan here, and if you need to understand where it's cutting, you can go right click and go to orientate to a view, and then floor plans, and we have the floor plan ceiling. And when we flip around and look at it from the underside, we can kind of get an understanding of where that cut plane is. So you can start to understand what it's picking up, what it's not picking up. So maybe at the moment, because bring that around a little bit, that is set to the ceiling and it's looking up above and beyond the roof. You might want to drop that down to pick up some of the walls, so we could test that. So going to that view range, so top is the roof, the cut plane is associated to the level, so I'm just going to see whether this works or not. So that might pick up, and now when we go back to our 3D view to see whether that's worked, orientate to a view, floor plans, oops, not ground floor, like that. Orientate to a view, floor plans, ceiling, and we'll see whether that's dropped down a little bit. So I've had to fire up some other command there. And let's just do it again. Orientate to a view, floor plans, ceiling. And it's not quite showing that offset, but really we want to be able to offset it down to here and pick up those walls. So yeah, as you can see, ceilings are fiddly, and they take a bit of time to get your head around them. Whether that's going to like me or not, I think that's a little bit better. And now when we go to orientate to a view, floor plans, ceiling, has it picked it up? No. Okay, so yeah, not the most intuitive tool. There's quite a few tutorials about this on how to get ceilings right, and yeah, even the people who show this online still get it wrong from time to time. So you know, you could do this in 3D. I like to work personally in 3D, or you can do it in your 2D floor plan. We can edit the boundary, because this is kind of a simple space. We know roughly where everything is. That's where our wall originally was. We want to bring this to here, and you can see our wall is showing up. So we'll save that one. And for this particular ceiling, not letting me grab that one. And if it's not showing up, again, I just like to work in 3D a lot of the time. I can grab it here if it's not allowing me to select here. edit that boundary and just pull out from here. So yeah, ceilings are fiddly, to be honest and frank, but if you leverage some of the power of the 3D tools, you can start to sort of figure them out a bit better. But yeah, they've been adding more tools here to try and better explain how to use the view range, but I think it personally needs a bit more development. So you can read up about this and learn more about the view range on the help page. I've even looked at tutorials on this, but yeah, it's not intuitive, unfortunately. So that is just a workaround on how to understand what you're looking at and grabbing in your ceilings, grabbing it and then manipulating it in a 3D space, which is how we design buildings, really, or how we build buildings and understanding them in 3D.